No, I can come down here. I can still come down here and grab this. As long as I have my envelope tool running. Keeping in mind that there's 2 points, right? So there's one here, and there's one over here. So I would need to adjust both of those. Okay. Makes sense? All right. So now, any questions? We good so far? Cool. If I talked a little bit earlier about that, there was that sampling rate, 44,100. I want real briefly, I just want to mention what that is, because there's a lot of misunderstanding of people. They're used to using digital audio and they know that it's, I don't know, I got this MP3 file that I listened to and it's 128 whatever, sample rate whatever. Well, one of the big complaints that people had when digital audio first came out is that it's not true 100% audio. They'd say it's just numbers, right? It's ones and zeros, so there's gaps in there. There's these little nuances that you miss. So when I looked earlier and I looked at this preferences here, and I said that my default sample rate was 44,100 hertz. That means that I'm actually sampling this audio file 44,100 times per second. Okay, so I'm getting 44,100 little notations every second that say what that sound is supposed to sound like at that exact moment. And I can actually see these points. If I zoom in on this track, and I zoom way in, can you see those little tiny dots? There's a little dot there. Those are the actual sample points of that audio. So how the program, how digital audio works is each one of those is a moment in time where there's a numerical value that says this is what that audio is supposed to sound like. Okay? And it takes and it draws a natural curve between those 2 points. So it simulates what it should sound like between those 2 points. That's how digital audio functions. Whereas with an analog audio, let's say an LP or a magnetic cassette recording, you actually get that full analog wave. So that's the main difference between digital audio and analog audio. That's why there's some purists, quote-unquote purists, who say that digital audio is horrible because you are technically missing out on something. Now, can my $20 ear hear a $20,000 analog recording? No, I have a $20 ear. I'm recording with a $17 mic. I know that I can't hear. Okay. But I could actually grab this little pencil, this little draw tool, and I could move each one of these points. Yeah, I only got to do 44,100 per second. So now you know why record producers make the money they do. Just wanted to give you a brief explanation of what that stuff is. So, and you can see these are that's at 27.385020 seconds. So, yeah. So now you understand when we talk about sample rates. Now you can see I just adjusted that one sample point all out of whack. You won't be able to tell. You'll never know the difference. Okay. All right. Now, so I've got this audio recording. It's great. It's fantastic. Here, let me just chop the end off of this. And well, actually, here's what I would actually do. Is I would probably make a cut right here. Let me zoom out a little bit more. Delete that. And if I want a nice smooth fade transition, I can just highlight a section, go Effect, and go Fade Out. Boop, it'll just put a nice little fade on there. So I just want that music to come back in and then just fade out. Okay. So now I want to export this, right? I want to give it and put it somewhere that's usable. I want to put it in my MP3 player. I want to put it on my cell phone. I want to pull it into my Camtasia recording. I go File and I go Export. Now I've got two options here. I've got Export as WAV, Export as MP3. I also have options below that say Export Selection. So if I just had a piece of this that I wanted to export that I didn't feel like editing it all out, I could come in here and I could just highlight a section and just say, well, actually all I want to do is edit or export that chunk that I have highlighted. But I'm going to export the whole thing. Yeah, exactly. Actually, what we do with Chad's Outtakes is I have two of these sessions running simultaneously, and I go copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. So, you have a couple of options here. This one you will never use. Okay, the OGG Vorbis. That's a European format that's used. You'll typically use MP3 or WAV. I usually use MP3. Now, if you have just downloaded Audacity and you try to export as an MP3, it will say, I don't have an encoder for MP3. Go download the lame encoder. It's actually called the lame encoder. the lame MP3 encoder. You can just do a search on it. There's many places where you can download it for free. It might even be on here. No. Yeah, but you can just go out and download the lame encoder, and there's even instructions. It'll say, download this file, put it here, you're happy. So the first time you try and export it as an MP3, it's going to go, hey, wait a minute, you don't have the encoder, where's it at? And you go, oh, and then you just point it to it, and you go, it's right here. And it goes, okay, I'm happy, and you'll never have to do it again. No. Exactly. That is lame. Boo. So, or I can export it as a wave. Pretty much all of your programs can handle waves. I use MP3 because it is a little more universal. I don't see any quality loss between the two. Wave is Windows Audio. I don't remember what the V stands for. I do MP3s all the time. Yep. I use them all the time. So if I click export MP3 here, it's going to say first, it's going to say, give it a name. I'll give it a name. We'll call it. It's going to ask me if I want to put in some metadata. You know, when you're on your MP3 player or your phone or your Windows Media Player, it pops up and it says the title, the artist, the album. You can fill in all of that. You can put genre on there as well for meta tagging, so you can put all that tagging in there. Click OK, and it exports your MP3 file, and away you go. Yes? You're looking for the encoding rate. No, the sampling rate and the encoding rate are actually, they're different variables. You take, how do I not get too technical? If you take the sample rate and the bit depth, combine those, you get the end algorithm. Sorry. The only thing you really need to know is that if it's encoded at 360 is considered CD quality. Usually anything above 128 is considered acceptable for music playback. We've gone as low as 16 for straight vocal, and it actually sounds okay. It's not fantastic, but it sounds okay. I believe, I'm trying to remember, because I don't typically mess with, I can tell you how to do it on 1.3.6. Quality. I'm just trying to look here to see if I have my export quality for, yeah, here you go. Okay, there's your exporting quality for MP3. So I can go in here and say what it's at. Like I said, typically if I have stuff that I'm pushing into a project, I usually encode at 128. 128 is still considered CD quality, has a pretty small file size. If it's something that it's an audio file, it's just a voiceover, like we were messing with the podcast the other day. We got a 21.5 minute audio file of somebody speaking down to 2.5 meg, and it was still listenable. It was still good enough to be listened to. Very listenable. One of the things to keep in mind, and this is something that I learned when I started doing video work with these guys, is audio is half of video. So if you have a visual display you're putting together, people will sit through bad video, but they will not sit through bad audio. So you can have the most gorgeous visuals in the world, but if the audio sounds horrible, people will not watch it. You can have screwed up visuals, but as long as the audio is good quality, people will watch it. So, and if I can go out here and look at this, there's that MP3, and I could open it with Windows Media Player. Oh, Windows Media Player is playing back through my headphones. Sounds great in my headphones, sounds beautiful. So, yeah, take my word for it. Come on. Now, the one other thing, I'm just going to kill it. When you save these, you can do it. It'll save a project, and it'll actually create an Audacity project file for it. And it's going to create a few different files. So So I just saved my project. If I go in here, I can see there's the AUP, Audacity audio project, and then there's all of the files that it created that make up that AUP. What these are is, I believe that these are just individual sound files and edit points. You can't play them. You can't do anything with these. These are strictly for Audacity. You have to export it out of Audacity to make it anything that's playable. I've done that, but not with Audacity. I don't know what the end result would be with Audacity. I'm sure there's people that have. I'm sure if you go and do a YouTube search on it, that there's somebody out there who will tell you, here, you can use these filters and do this and this and this, and you'll get a. Well, thank you very much.